Have you eaten produce today? Any sort of meat? Is your house made of wood? These everyday things have one thing in common. They all exist because of soil. Soil is a resource supporting many things that modern human society depends on. As someone studying environmental science, I have learned exactly how much soil is important to humans. This leads one to wonder, how exactly does soil form? Well, the creation of soil is mainly influenced by five key components: living things, the local climate, the topography of the environment, the parent material it is made from, and time itself. These are known as the five state variables of soil formation, and understanding them is important to understanding what soil is. Firstly, Carol Olson says that parent material is the starting material from which soil develops. Parent material is typically made out of some sort of mineral. The different kinds of rock soil derives from can greatly affect its traits. For example, a soil with a parent material of silicon dioxide will be relatively nutrient poor and support fewer nutrients than other soils. Alternatively, a soil formed from a rock like calcium carbonate, for example, will be able to support much more nutrients. Then, living organisms will modify what the parent material starts. According to Hans Jenny, it is a universally known truism that microorganisms, plants, and many other higher animals influence and affect the properties of soil. All types of life influence soil formation in their own unique way. In a single gram of soil, there could be billions of microorganisms living there. Due to their sheer numbers, they have a huge impact on the soil. They help break down organic matter that plants rely on and break it down into nutrients that plants can use. Animals play a similar role in breaking down organic matter. By far the most significant animal is the earthworm. Their excretions also contain a large amount of nutrients. Plants play a different yet very significant role in helping soil form. Plant roots help hold soil in place, preventing it from being moved elsewhere. Roots also help break down the general parent material into smaller sediment, aiding in the formation of soil. Next, a variable that it helps impact life as well as the soil itself is the climate of the soil's environment. The Soil Science Society of America defines climate as the temperature and moisture of an area over time. These two factors, moisture and temperature, have many impacts on the soil. If a soil is warmer or wetter, it'll have more distinct layers, also known as horizons, of soil than a soil in a colder or drier climate. This creates a very stark contrast between soils in different climates around the world. But even within the same climate, the shape of the land, its topography, can make soils behave much different. Depending on the steepness of a surface the soil rests on, the traits of the soil can change drastically. A soil on a steep slope is much more susceptible to erosion, while a soil that is more horizontal experiences less erosion, and thus these soils can accumulate much more nutrients over time. Where soils are positioned relative to mountains and slopes can also impact their traits. Soils on the bottom of steep slopes can accumulate material from higher elevations, and soils on the windward side of mountains also accumulate more material as well as more moisture. Topography influences how soil moves and builds up, but the extent of that development depends on the final factor: time. Environmental Geology by Steve Earle points out that even under ideal conditions, soil will take thousands of years to develop. And soil can actually be the same for millions of years. But a recently formed soil will differ greatly from one that has been developing for millions of years. The length of time a soil influences the amount of development that can occur. A young soil generally is shallower, has less distinct layers, and has fewer nutrients. And as the soil gets older, it gets deeper and has time to develop more distinct layers and collect nutrients. One example of an older soil is in the Great Plains of the United States. They were completely untouched by glaciers, so they have a lot of nutrients and tend to be very deep. Events like a volcanic eruption or a glacier advancing can set back to the soil all the way to bare rock. And it takes time for these other variables to work. Plants can only break up the rock so fast, precipitation won't change soil in an instant, and it takes time for nutrients to collect. The next time you bite into an apple or walk across a wooden floor, remember that it all began with soil. The five state variables of parent material, living organisms, climate, topography, and time all work together to make soil. If a single one of these variables is changed, the resulting soil will differ drastically. These 5 variables create the very foundation that humans and all terrestrial life rely on. Thank you.